I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully is disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans. Poor little girl, them. And I'm gonna tell them why I'm mad. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus. The other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset. I'm upset. No, I'm not really upset today, but shout out to all of you for joining yet another episode 17 to be exact, of the Maize, Blue, and Gold show. I am your host with the most. Why do they say that? Host with the most? I don't get it. Anyway, Phil, Triple M, or 3M, or Maize Man Peters. My co-host Ryan Fravel should be here shortly, as Chris points out. Always. I mean, he's like, I'm the black person, by the way. And this guy is always late. It's crazy. He's on CP time, and I am the CP. It's crazy. But anyway, we're going to be delivering another dope episode today. We got lined up for you guys. New crystal ball for Michigan. Go Blue, of course, always. According to Ryan, there are new crystal balls for Notre Dame as well. We'll get into it. You know, I'm not so sure about all of that, but you know, if he says Notre Dame has some crystal balls, then sure, maybe, right? Of course, we're going to talk a little bit about Pat Fitzgerald and the situation at Northwestern. An unfortunate situation really going down at Northwestern. And look who it is. It's Ryan Fravel. Fravel.
How's it going, Phil?
Going all right, man. I was just telling everybody how I am the colored person, and you are always on colored people time.
I am.
Yeah,
I am. Yeah,
but
I am.
It's all good. It's all good, yo. But yeah, I was telling. We're going to talk a little bit about Notre Dame's crystal ball prediction, as well as Michigan's crystal ball prediction. In fact, Michigan has a target committing tomorrow at noon. So I won't be live. I'll be making money, but I won't be able to be live at noon. But I will be with you guys in spirit at noon tomorrow. Ryan, what's going on?
Not much, man. I haven't had too many delusions in the last couple shows, so
yeah, no, you've been pretty solid last couple of shows. I got to give it to you. It's strange. I don't know, as somebody drugged you or what's going on.
The Justin Scott thing kind of like got me all depressed and stuff. So like, yeah, you can't be delusional when you're depressed.
Right. Yeah, man, the Justin Scott thing did. Man, that hurt a little bit. I got to be honest with you, but you know, it's not over. Things can happen, and I do believe Michigan will continue to recruit Justin Scott. I'm sure Notre Dame will do the same, and we'll see what happens. That being said, I know unless you've been living under a rock, you are from the state of Illinois, so Northwestern and that situation going on there. What's your thoughts on it?
I haven't. I know that it came out yesterday that another player on the team came out and basically said that none of the stuff was true.
Right.
So I'm not too sure, really. I kind of want to wait until I talk to have an opinion on it until the evidence and stuff is released.
Right.
But as of right now, I'm going to side with the university because the university hired their own investigator.
Yeah.
Who found that the evidence supported the claims. So because one player says otherwise, I think right now I'm going to stay on the safe side of things with the university.
Yeah. Certainly I get that. And I will do the same. I'm just going to go about it. If it turns out that it's untrue, then I definitely think Pat should have some grounds for legal action. But whatever. Um, wasn't like 11 players said it was true. Yeah, I don't know exactly how many. It was a lot. And where there's smoke, usually there's fire. So I will
Mhm.
say that much.
And I also
Um,
will say this, being from Illinois, you know,
yeah,
AJ Henning, I'm good friends with him. I played against him in high school. He's at Northwestern now. I'm sure all
right.
Michigan fans know that.
Yes,
Um, and I have played against some guys who played for Northwestern. So and with how Northwestern is, they went what 1-11 last year. They weren't going to fire Fitzgerald because if people don't know that's not from this area, that Northwestern's a very high academic school.
right.
They don't prioritize football like a lot of other Big Ten schools. Um, and with how much Pat Fitzgerald had done for that university, I don't think they would have fired him off of just a rumor. That's kind of like what
Absolutely.
P. Maximus says.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with everything you said. I agree with P. Maximus said. Firing, he'd been there for 17 seasons. He's got a winning record at Northwestern, which is crazy to even, think about,
Mm-hmm.
considering how difficult it is to get into that university, um, because of the high academic standard there. I think, like I said yesterday in my pre-recorded show, I think they only accept like 7% of applicants, which is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's actually a former player there. He's a former student. So to fire him, like I said, 17 years of coaching there, an alumni. So to let him go, I'm pretty sure that they had to have something to substantiate, that level of action. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, I sure hope they did. Otherwise, that's very, very flaky. Um, so on my pre-recorded show yesterday, Ryan, I was playing around with some names uh to replace Fitzgerald. Of course, I don't know if you saw yesterday, but
Tommy Rees.
immediately people start throwing around Sharon Moore's name. And I'm not happy about it. And they should stop saying things on Blue Ivy's internet, uh, because it's disrespectful, number one. And then number two, some of the names I threw out there: Brian Hartline, wide receivers coach and offensive coordinator now at the other state university. I think he'd be an excellent, you know, candidate for the job. He brings some offense into there. They desperately need offense. He definitely can recruit wide receivers, right? If nothing else. Have a team full of, future first round pick at wide receiver. Um, and he's and more than just recruiting them, because I want to give him a little bit of credit. He does do a good job, obviously, of developing at that position too, because I'll give him a little credit. So he develops and he recruits at wide receiver well. Option number two, Larry Johnson. Larry Johnson is the defensive line coach over there, for the Suckeyes, who, according to Justin Scott, made all the difference.
So Justin Scott's in Northwestern? That would
No,
be.
no, no, no. I'm not. I would never suggest that. I would. Don't do that to yourself, Justin Scott. No disrespect to Northwestern, right? In the most disrespectful way. But anyway, um, Justin Scott said Larry Johnson made all the difference in his choice and his choosing of the other state over Michigan. So if he can get a 5-star like that to change his mind just off the strength of his name, then why not be the coach over at Northwestern? Candidate number three, David Shaw. Now, this one's a little more realistic and real for me. It's not about being
Mhm.
funny. David Shaw was the head coach at Stanford, another school known for their academics. He actually has had success at Stanford. He has a winning record at Stanford too, I believe. Now, over the last 3 or 4 years, things have gone south quickly for him. But he is a good coach. I think he might be able to jumpstart his career in a new place, and a place like Northwestern would be a good option for him. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Northwestern would be a perfect fit for him with the academic stuff there. But um, I think David Shaw is pretty much done with coaching. From my understanding, he is good with retiring. So I don't
Okay.
think I think that might, especially at a job like Northwestern, where you pretty much have to rebuild that entire thing. I think I'm surprised you didn't mention this name because this was a big name on that list as well. Was Tommy Rees, the former Notre Dame OC,
Yep.
currently at Alabama. I've seen some reports that Tommy would be interested in the head coaching job over there at Northwestern. He's got obviously has the recruiting know-how to recruit at a place that's very high academics. He's a guy that got CJ Carr. He's also the same guy that got uh, Julian Sand at Alabama. People don't know that, but he was a big reason that they closed on Julian Sand.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he would jump at that, and I think it would also be hilarious for Nick Saban before the season even starts to be left without an OC.
That would be, although they did hire somebody like in a similar position to Tommy Rees after Tommy Rees was hired. It's very weird, but that would still be very humorous. Let me ask you this: how would it feel if Tommy Rees took that job and then he became, the preeminent coach in Illinois, and stopped the recruits from going to Notre Dame,
That's
put a
never going to
fence
happen.
around Illinois, put a fence
Notre
around
Dame
Chicago?
Notre Dame will never lose recruits to Northwestern ever. That will
You
never
say
happen.
that now. If Dion comes,
Yeah, Dion goes to good old Northwestern.
right? Okay, people in the comment section, let me know this. I got a question for you. Is Northwestern a better job than Colorado? Let us know in the comment
No,
section what you
no,
think about that. Ryan, tell us why it's not a better job.
no. Just because Colorado has some sort of football history,
Right.
Northwestern has like none.
But if you are the coach that goes to Northwestern and you win, let's say you win the Big Ten, immediately you are in the annals of, greatest coaches of all time.
I want to go do that. If I was a coach, I'm like, I'm not going to Northwestern, dude. They can't even.
Everyone's saying no to this, by the
Dude,
way.
they can't even Northwestern can't even fill half their stadium because people don't know this, like that aren't from Illinois.
Yeah.
Northwestern fans don't exist. Northwestern
So
fans are Illinois fans that when Illinois sucks, they root for Northwestern. That's literally how it works. There's no such thing as Northwestern fans.
so Tim says, first he says no. Then he says he agrees with you. Colorado was good one time, and Colorado is a very nice place to live. Colorado is very scenic. I'll give you that. I could do without the snow, but it's gonna snow at Northwestern too, so just not as much. There is that. All right. So I think the consensus is Colorado is a better job than Northwestern. Let me ask this though. If Colorado is a better job than Northwestern, if Colorado football is better than Northwestern football, and then you know what? I've already answered that in my head. Northwestern is part of the Big Ten for reasons far more important than football, and I understand it. So we'll move on. All right. Because it surely isn't the football that has them in the conference. let's move on. Switch gears just a bit. What is the offensive tackle from Mater D? I can't think of his name right now.
Brandon Baker.
Brandon
right?
Baker. Right.
Yes.
Is he a target of Notre Dame, and is he part of this crystal ball prediction?
No.
Okay.
No. Notre Dame hasn't been on him like at all. It's because people don't know this, but the coach, like the Notre Dame offered Brandon Baker like over a year and a half ago, but he's a kid that's very NIL oriented. So Notre Dame, if kids give that sense, Notre Dame tends to back off very early.
I see. So it's an institution that's saying, hey, we're not going to pay you to come here.
No, we're not going to pay you.
But if you come here, then you can potentially.
Yes, but we're not going to mess around with to get you on to commit. We have to give you the bag. Like if that makes sense.
Right. No, I know exactly what you're saying. And this is interesting because I watched a YouTube. I can't think of the name of it, and I don't want to disrespect because the guy is a fan of the Buckeyes, which why I was watching that is beyond me anyway. Oh, here's Mellow number 7. This guy right here. This is a Buckeye fan. He's all in my comments. He's a huge Buckeye fan, but you know, I can't have a Michigan channel and think that Buckeye fans won't show up. Shout out to Mello. He's always commenting, giving his 2 cents. And sometimes it makes sense. We actually agreed recently on a comment that he made, but most of the time it's pro Buckeye. And of course, we are not pro Buckeye here at the Maize Madman. That being said, I forgot what I was saying. Ryan, help me out.
We were going through the list of guys, and we were talking about Brandon Baker.
What's good, Mello, by the way? Shout out to you, sir. You mean a child. All right, yeah. So what I was saying is I was watching a Buckeye channel, and the guy brought up a similar point that you brought up, right? Like the Buckeyes aren't giving people the bag to come to their school.
Oh, come on, like
hey, I'm only relaying what was said. All right, I'm not necessarily agreeing.
That is
but he said they're not giving people the bag to come, but when they come,
they give them the bag.
Then right, hey, we're not gonna give it to you until you get here.
But when the minute you say you're gonna commit, check your bank account.
Right. So I think you don't believe that. You don't believe that.
No, that is
the other state is not giving the bag to.
Like I don't. I think the whole Justin Scott stuff. I'm not. I don't know for sure, but from my understanding, I don't think there was any. I'm sorry, Larry Johnson, but I just don't. I can't wrap my head around the fact that Justin Scott and his family were all about going to Michigan. During the visit, they were still thinking about going to Michigan. And then it just so happens, I'm going to go to Ohio State. Right. I'll leave that to be interpreted one way or the other. But yeah, I think that's big cap.
Since the 90s go blue this year, it's a wrap. Anyway, peace from California. Shout out to Timoteo. Go blue, of course. Thank you for tuning in to the channel and the show. Make sure you follow my guy and subscribe to the channel. Week 0 is simulcasting on the Week 0 channel as well. The Buckeyes are taking that L in the big house, in the house that Rockney built. I'm sorry. Oh, absolutely. We know that.
Yes.
We know that. That goes without saying. That's why Ennis is driving a Lambo. The passes are great.
See, at least, you know what? Shout out to Mello because he's not like one of those Buckeye fans. You remember when Sam Hartman committed to Notre Dame and Buckeye fans were complaining and crying all over Twitter that Notre Dame tampered and NIL this and NIL that?
I mean, it just They're always complaining and crying on Twitter, so it just meshed together.
Dude, they were complaining because Notre Dame has an actual shot to beat them this year. That's why they were complaining.
Mello, don't let him talk to you like this.
No, I'm saying shout out to Mello because he's not like one of those Ohio State fans that acts like they don't pay for players. Like,
right.
I respect
he says
that.
Chase Young was on the visit, helping to recruit. I mean, that can definitely go a long way. So I
But he
can
didn't mention
understand that.
Chase Young.
He did not mention Chase Young. He said Larry Johnson. So I understand that, and that can go a long way. I mean, look, Charles Woodson has gotten into the the recruiting of Aaron Scott, so we know that former players and alumni make a difference.
Kyle Hamilton recruits for Notre Dame all the time, but it has not helped with anything.
Man, I want to talk to you about Notre Dame recruiting. Actually, first, let's get into who is the crystal ball prediction that you wanted to talk about here today.
Well, I don't have. Well, there's one crystal ball, and that's Lambert. He's a top 50 prospect out of Westbury, Massachusetts. There was another crystal ball put in for him today. He did an interview with On3's Chad. What's his last name? Chad Simmons, where he said basically, "Hey, Notre Dame's the team to beat," and you'll find this hilarious. He was talking about all of his official visits, and he was talking about specifically his visit to Ohio State. He said that he was not impressed at all, and he said one of the things that means a lot to me is academics. He said that's why Harvard's in my top 3 because they have academics. Well, their football side lacks a little bit. Okay. Then he goes down to Ohio State. He said their academics are They're all about football, and they were talking to me about what football can do for me. So he basically said that Ohio State's not even in his top 3 anymore. It's Notre Dame, Boston College, and Harvard.
Their academics are football?
Their academics are football.
So you go to the other state, get a football degree. God, you hang that on the wall. It's as good as freaking wallpaper. That's what he's saying. That degree from the other state is worth wallpaper. Mello said he didn't say that. You're lying.
No, he did. No,
shout out to Big Groove, man. I appreciate it, Groove.
He said that Ohio State is not a very academic institution.
He said that's cap. I will say this. Ohio State does allow, 57% of all applicants get into the other state. So there's that. And I'm not, hey, that's no shot.
Hey, Mello, real quick, go read the article from Chad Simmons. If you don't believe me. Go read that article.
Yeah. Back like the first time, sup Triple M, my man, in 100 grand. Oh, and you too, Ryan.
No, what's up, man?
What's good, Groove? Major cat, Mello.
It's not a cat. Like we'll read the article if I have to, but okay.
But Wolfhorn, no one else knows this. See, now he's about to go get his receipts now, Mello. So left this one alone, man. Michael Everett, congrats on the new job with Notre Dame.
This is what Gerby said.
Hey, first acknowledge Michael Everett.
Oh, what's up, Michael?
He says congrats on your new job, man.
I appreciate it.
There you go.
So let's see. I'm looking this up real quick.
Be sure to like and share the stream. Help the channel grow. We are growing, and I gotta shout out all of you guys because it wouldn't be possible without you. So shout out to everyone who does tune in and share the videos.
Okay. So I got the article pulled up here.
All right, he's got
Okay.
it. You ready?
So, see, as he gets closer to committing, he's made it obvious that his schools he is considering, Notre Dame is the team to beat, while also taking official visits to Boston College, Ohio State, and Harvard. Lambert plans to make his college decision before his senior year, and it all comes down to mulling over what he
Bro,
already
jump
knows.
to the part where he
Okay.
craps on the other state.
Here we go. So his 4 official visits. His commitment to academics took him on a visit to Cambridge, Massachusetts, which was the Harvard.
Okay.
More on the football side of life, Lambert narrowed in on Notre Dame, Boston College, and Ohio State.
Okay.
Lambert said, quote, there weren't many similarities between especially Ohio State and my school. Lambert said, because Ohio State is a big school and they prioritize a lot of football. Boston College as well. I mean, Boston College, they prioritize both football and academics, but it wasn't the same smaller school field.
Right.
It was definitely closer to Notre Dame than Ohio State is. But they're Boston College and Ohio State, a little farther behind Notre Dame. And then he said, Ohio State, what were their pitches to you? Ohio State, I've been talking to a lot with Coach Fry and Coach Ryan Day as well. They've made it apparent that they want to coach me and make me the best player I can be. Meanwhile, Boston College is close to home, and they have great academics. Notre Dame, they just say how much it means to me to get them on their team. They're really pushing to get me on their team, and they really want me there, and they've made that known, as well as their high academics.
Lil Bronim is definitely keeping them at bay, because you say anything to them on Twitter and they burst into tears and then want to throw around, Mel Tucker's record against Jim Harbaugh, which, by the way, after this year will be 500. But go ahead.
But yeah, so basically, he said Ohio State is kind of with Boston College, and it's not close. So he didn't mention anything about their academics. The other 3 schools, he mentioned their academics.
Yeah.
Ohio State is just football. Like that.
So Mello wants to know where he said they're not in his top 3.
So if you read what he says, like between the lines, he doesn't say directly that.
Right.
But if you read between the lines, academics is a top thing for him.
Yeah.
He said Ohio State is further than Notre Dame, along with Boston College. Harvard he really likes because of the academics.
Of course. By the way, if you get a scholarship to go to Harvard, go to Harvard. I mean,
for real, though, like,
saying.
Yeah. I'm even saying this as a Notre Dame fan. Like,
yeah,
if a kid picks Harvard over Notre Dame, I can't get mad. Like that, the kid just wants to have a really high quality academic career.
Oh man,
you know what I mean?
That's my garage. No, I agree. Yeah. It's a Ivy. Oh, he says Harvard doesn't give scholarships because it's an Ivy League school. Either way, if they want you, you figure it out. You work. I don't know. You got to do something to figure out how you're going to go there. So go to Harvard, though, is the mantra. That being said, Ryan, Michigan received a couple more crystal balls for Jacob Smith, the brother of Michigan commit
It's only been
Jared
a couple months.
Smith. It's been a while.
Too late.
It's not too late. In fact, he's still a 4-star, and him committing to the Wolverines is a plus. Now, there are people in the comment section that I'm sure can vouch for this. This may hurt Michigan's chances of landing 4-star edge Brian Robinson, whose father just went on a tirade on Facebook about Brian Robinson's high school coach. So I'm pretty sure that's not going to end well. The coach apparently told Brian Robinson that he can go play somewhere else. So not sure what that's going to do for his stock, but let me know in the comment section if landing Jacob Smith, do you think it hurts Michigan's chances of landing Brian Robinson? Jacob Smith makes his college choice tomorrow at noon. Of
Are you
course,
sure it's
both Smith
Michigan?
brothers. Well, I'm just saying what the crystal balls say. We got two
Okay.
more crystal balls between yesterday and today. So I'm just saying landing Jacob Smith would be a big feather in the cap for Michigan because we pull both Smith brothers away from Notre Dame.
Oh,
Number
don't do
one.
that. Don't do
That's a
that.
fact.
Don't
It's a
do
fact.
that. Don't do that.
It's a fact.
No,
Notre
their
Dame
spots
was
were already
leading for
taken.
the Smiths.
Their spot was already taken when we got Bryce Young. That's what happened.
Bryce Young.
Yeah. He's our edge. He's our highest ranked edge.
You
And
got
Logan
one
Thomas.
edge.
We got two. We got three edges. We got Cole Mullins, Logan Thomas, and Bryce Young.
And none of them is better than Jacob Smith.
Oh, they're Logan Thomas and Bryce Young are both rated higher.
No.
Yes.
On what site is this?
Let me
Brian
look it up.
Robinson's no longer a Michigan target. Book it. All right. There's that.
And Notre Dame's had tons of positive traction in terms of predictions as well. A lot of receiver recruits.
Or
So
24 or 25?
25. Logan Thomas is the number 10 edge in the country. He's committed
Oh,
Notre
wow.
Dame.
It looks like, by the way, as I was speaking, Jacob Smith has decided to delay his commitment, and he will no longer be committing tomorrow at noon. This is only bad news for Michigan if you're a Michigan fan.
What if they told him to push it back for Brian Robinson?
That would be interesting. That's something that is possible. So that would be interesting to see how that works.
Really quick, let me pull this up. Notre Dame got tons of crystal balls recently because if you're not a Notre Dame fan, you don't know this, but Notre Dame's 2024 class is pretty much done at this point.
You've landed nothing. What are you talking? Here's Michael, Dallas fan.
We've got 20 recruits in the class already, and Notre Dame only wants to take 24. So
yeah, I mean that's cool, but your edge rushers are not better than Jacob Smith.
Bryce Young is the number 19 edge rusher, and Logan Thomas is the number 10 edge rusher.
Yeah, it's wrong.
Anyway, I'm looking at the 2025 class, and because Notre Dame's kind of prioritizing that now, since they basically, I think Lambert, Justin Scott, Caleb Beasley, and KVA are the kind of the final four that Notre Dame's still pursuing, and then Burdell Richardson is now a name that's popped back up. I'm sure you've covered him. He's got Michigan in his top four.
Right.
But evidently, it seems like a lot of his schools that were in his top four don't have spots anymore for another wide receiver. Is that true for Michigan? Are you guys pretty set at the receiver position?
We are not set at the receiver position. In fact, that is a spot where we can take a little more. We actually are a target of Michigan is committing on the 16th. That's Jordan Shipp from Providence Day in North Carolina, a 4-star wide receiver who has Michigan and North Carolina among some others in this final group. But it looks like a battle between Michigan and North Carolina.
Okay. So is Michigan kind of going after Burdell, or has that ship kind of sailed?
Is Michigan going after who? I'm sorry?
Burdell Richardson?
No, that's not that I've heard anyway.
Okay.
Jordan Shipp, yeah, absolutely.
Because Burdell, I think, had Michigan, Michigan State, LSU, and somebody else. But either way, Notre Dame got multiple predictions to land receivers for next year. One of whom, it's kind of obvious, Jerome Bettis Jr. He's the son of the NFL Hall of Fame running back who played for the Steelers.
Right.
He's a Notre Dame legacy. He's a 3-star receiver out of Atlanta. So it looks like he's going to be committing Notre Dame here soon. And then the other one we got is Derek Meadows. He's a 6'5", 185-pound receiver out of Las Vegas, Nevada. He goes to Bishop Gorman. Um, his recruiting stock has soared this summer because of the camps he's taken. He's taken a camp to Alabama, Notre Dame, and some other schools as well. And people are saying he's absolutely the best receiver in the camp circuit right now. So he absolutely dominated at Notre Dame's Irish Invasion.
Yeah.
So we got a prediction to land him. And then Cooper Perry, he's a 6'2", 180-pound receiver out of Scottsdale, Arizona. He's a 4-star receiver for the 2025 class. He just got a prediction in logged for him as well. And then Taylor Taylor is a guy that I'm not sure if Michigan's offered him yet. He is a consensus top 60 recruit for next year's class out of Geneva, Illinois. He is a 6'1", 185-pound receiver. Borderline 5-star recruit. He's the number 10 receiver in the class and the second best player in the state of Illinois. Him and Deuce Knight are going to be visiting together on their unofficial visits for the Notre Dame Cookout in July.
Right.
And Notre Dame sources feel pretty good that if everything goes well, we might be able to get a commitment from 2 of the top 70 players for the 2025 class.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good, and Notre Dame definitely needs some action. So,
hey, if we get Deuce Knight and we get Taylor Taylor, hey man, I will be happy. I will be completely okay with losing Justin Scott. That will be fine because our offense is going to be amazing.
Jacob Smith was out for a bag. That is,
I disagree with that.
An untruth.
We talked to their parents.
This is untrue. I had both parents. Me and Ryan had both parents on the show live. We spoke, and that is the least of their concerns. Another fable we need to chop is that Bryce Young somehow is better than Jacob Smith or Jared Smith.
On.
Bryce Young is the 474th
Depending
ranked prospect in America. He is not better than the Smiths.
He's better.
If you say the other kid,
Logan Thomas.
Is right. I will concede that, but nothing else. You guys are not recruiting edge rushers like
hey, you know what?
Michigan is.
I think Cole Mullins might be better than the Smith twins.
So. I want you to stop it right now. See, you had been doing well. There was like 3 episodes you weren't saying crazy things, and now you're back.
Hey man, go watch Bryce Young's tape and tell me he isn't a top 150 player. Like, dude, the dude is a monster.
Tape, all these tape. Look, here's the thing, and I got to be honest. With people like you and me and people in the comment section, especially Dallas fan, you are watching highlights. They are showing you the tape they want you to see because that is the good tape. We understand that, right? Yes. We're not seeing the plays they take off. We're not seeing the plays where they are pancaked or anything like that. We are seeing the best of their best plays. So I don't want any anybody to get that misconstrued. Understand that the highlights is what you're watching.
Dude, listen to this. This dude Bryce Young is 6'6", 245 pounds.
Bryce Young has a Hall of Fame bloodline that trumps both of these twins.
Bryce Young's father.
I don't know what kind of alternate universe. This is a fantasy land that you live in where because his father was a Hall of Famer, all of a sudden, it's going to translate into him. Michael Jordan's a Hall of Famer. His sons couldn't hit the broad side of a barn.
I mean,
Joe Montana is a Hall of Famer whose son went to Notre Dame and was on the bench.
Phil, we got to stop this disrespect towards Bryce Young right now. Like,
I'm not disrespecting Bryce Young. I want to be clear. I'm not disrespecting Bryce Young, but I am upset right now because this is absurd. He can be a good player, and if he turns out to be a Hall of Fame player, that more power to him. That being said, there's way more evidence of Hall of Fame players kids not being Hall of Fame level or even 4-star level kids.
My thing
So
with
that's
Bryce
absurd.
Young, Phil, is that his size. He's a 6'6" edge
Here he goes
rusher.
again. Bryce has film. This is ridiculous. Did
No,
you
no,
hear a
no.
word I said? Bryce has highlights that you watched.
Yes,
That's what
but
Bryce has.
Phil, I'm just saying, like his body size, he's got the body size of already an NFL edge rusher. He's 6'6", 245. Like
He's 6'6",
that
245.
that
No, look,
name.
again, I don't want to sound like I'm disrespecting Bryce Young because I am not. I just conceded that he may be better than the Smith twins. I'm sorry, not Bryce Young. Not Bryce Young. He is certainly not. But anyway, um the thing is, I don't want to sound like I'm disrespecting him. I'm not coming at him
Mhm.
per se. I'm coming at the notion that because we watched his film, which all of the film is great, by the way, that he is who, you
Like
guys
this
are
is my
thinking him
argument.
to
I
be.
think I agree with you. I think the Smith twins right now might be the better players over Bryce Young. But if I'm looking at their ceiling, because I look at like I love Jacob and Jared Smith. Obviously, I wanted them to go to Notre Dame. But their body types, there's going to be a ceiling at some point for those guys.
Right,
When I feel a guy that's 6'6", his wingspan is freaking insane.
right.
He kind of reminds me of Isaiah Foskey. He's got the Isaiah Foskey body type and explosiveness.
Hmm.
And I seen in the chat that he's going to be a defensive tackle because he's 245. When I say 245, I don't mean fat 245. I mean lengthy,
Right.
long,
At 6'8",
lean
that that
245.
that does disperse throughout the body a little better than if he was 6
So
feet.
yeah, I
Right.
mean he's a huge ass kid. Like his pictures and his film, he towers over everybody. Now, obviously, that's going to be different when he gets to the college level, but I think Bryce Young has a higher ceiling than the Smith twins. But I think the Smith twins are the better prospects right now, if that makes sense. Like
I'm not even going to
people
get
gave
into that.
who was high on Isaiah Foskey until last year? Nobody.
Um, no, I think coming
No.
into the season, people were talking about him. Big Groove. I want to get to your question. Nick Marsh. It was befuddling to me too that Michigan and Nick Marsh didn't form some kind of relationship because Nick Marsh would definitely fill a need that Michigan has at receiver. He's a big receiver. He's an athletic receiver. I made videos on Nick Marsh earlier in the year, and I thought that would be a match made in heaven, especially after he decommitted from Michigan State earlier in the season. It just doesn't seem like they had any mutual interest. I think Nick may have had some interest because he did include Michigan in like a top 8 or something like that, but there was really no talk from Michigan going that way. I don't know if it was I don't know what the reason is. I'll just say that for them not making that connection, but it just didn't happen. And he's on Bryce Underwood's 7-on-7 team, so I just thought it made even more sense in that way too.
Man, so what's new with Michigan recruiting?
So I think we still have Aaron Scott out there who is set to make a decision July 30th, which is his father's birthday, which has a lot of people believing that decision will be the other state because what guy is gonna on his father's birthday with family surrounding him say, hey, I'm going to your arch rival. That being said, though, he was seen at a local 7-on-7 in Dayton, Ohio, actually wearing Michigan cleats and gloves, but that could just be because he likes the feel of the gloves and cleats. It could also be because it better matches his uniform, who knows. But so it gave some hope to some Michigan fans, myself included. I think, and I spoke about this on a previous live I think we had. I think that the kid himself likes Michigan. I do think his father is a huge influence. The family is a huge influence. Being from Ohio is a huge influence, and it may just sway him to the Buckeyes, though. So that's my personal feeling. Obviously, Jacob Smith, who was supposed to commit tomorrow, has now pushed that back to whatever. It's indefinite now. So I don't know when he'll be committing and what it's going to look like. So, in
What
fact, I think him delaying it is bad news for Michigan, if I'm being honest.
What is your guys' like outlook on the 2025? Any updates on that?
Yeah. So, myself, I haven't like gotten into 2025. I remember when 2023 was wrapping up and I was starting to get into 2024. You know, the fans, right? The comment section kind of like reeled me back in, like, hey, let's not get too far out there. But obviously, number one, and probably number one for a bunch of people in the Midwest, is Bryce Underwood, right? So that goes without saying. Then there's a running back in 25 as well that Michigan is hot on the trail for. He's listed as an athlete, but he's out of Detroit. And I think they have him at running back. So Elijah Dotson, I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but he is another player that Michigan is looking into in 25. Chris Ewald is already committed in the 2025 class, 4-star cornerback out of Florida. We've got a 4-star linebacker out of Beaufort, Georgia, from that powerhouse high school, Beaufort, who is committed as well. So things are looking good for 25 right now.
Okay. So really quick, if you want to pull that up, Phil, I've got an article coming out either today or tomorrow. This guy is a 5-star, well, go pretty close to being a 5-star recruit. Yeah, I think he's a 5-star on other sites. Nathaniel Owusu Boateng for next year. He is the younger brother of JOK, Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa. He has offers from pretty much everybody. Notre Dame, Michigan, Miami, Florida, Florida State, Ohio State. Anybody you can think of, he's got offers from. He goes to IMG Academy now. I did an interview with him for the Irish Tribune a couple days ago. Very ND kid, and I didn't know too much about if Michigan has been involved with him. It seems like from everything that I've read on him, it's between Florida, Florida State, Notre Dame for him. But one of the key things I thought that was interesting with his interview is he voluntarily, I didn't ask him this, 2 things he mentioned. Location doesn't mean anything in terms of his recruitment, so it doesn't matter. He doesn't care if he plays in the South, Midwest, California, Florida, wherever. And he said that NIL money doesn't mean anything either. He said it's just from firsthand his brother going to Notre Dame. He knows firsthand what Notre Dame did for his brother Jeremiah. Obviously, JOK ended up being a first round draft pick to the Cleveland Browns. And I'll say this: he's definitely better than his brother is. His brother was a 3-star recruit, and this kid is borderline 5-star material. So I thought that was interesting. And my favorite quote from him was, "Location doesn't mean anything. Weather doesn't either. Location and weather shouldn't mean anything to a recruit if you have that dog in you."
I like it.
So, yeah, just some insight. I'm going to be posting that article tonight,
Okay.
and it should be published tomorrow. So, yeah, be on the lookout for that. I'm sure Michigan will be pushing hard for him because they go after any 5-star that Notre Dame goes
after. This guy.
Y'all are like, hey, man, what's Notre Dame do?
Isn't legit. They have all their rating flaws. They all have their rating flaws.
Every service has their flaws.
Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. How do we know they have their flaws?
Steve Wilfong's an Ohio State fan. That is confirmed.
No, that's a fact, right?
Yeah.
He is a Ohio State fan. However, are we gonna act like because someone is a fan of some program or school or team or
It
whatever
affects his
that they
rankings of
can't
players.
be objective?
No,
Are you saying Steve Wilfong is not objective?
he's not objective 24/7. Doesn't It's not
Okay.
just Notre Dame either. They do this to Michigan too, Phil. They
No,
drop guys. They
I'm
drop
not.
guys for just committing to Notre Dame or Michigan. But if a kid commits to Ohio State, all of a sudden they're a top 100 player.
So here's the thing. I'm a guy that likes science, right? I like testing these theories and in some controlled environment, right? So you'd have to, like, I get, and a lot of people say that, right? A lot of people say, oh, because this guy committed here, they dropped him, or because he committed over here, they raised this stock, whatever, right? But there would have to be some data, right, that says every time a commit commits here, and not every time, because then it would just be overt and obvious. So I'm sure they don't do it for every commit, but there has to be some data that says they do it more for Ohio State and less for Notre Dame or Michigan or whoever it is, because otherwise we're just, regurgitating and spouting out the same garbage that, somebody else is. And I'm not taking up for any of these services, by the way, because I do have a bone to pick with On3 myself. But I'm just saying,
Really? I got a bone to pick
data
with
needs
On3
to,
about CJ Carr's ranking.
yeah. So
They updated the rankings, and CJ Carr
right.
didn't even move at all.
Yeah.
Guess where he's ranked? The 194th ranked prospect. Guess where everywhere else what he's ranked? A top 40 prospect.
Yeah. So
Trust me. Like I think this is what I think. I think On3, because I've been a part of On3 for 2 years now.
we've been tracking
My
the flaws historically. Who is we? And where have you been tracking them? Send
but
us
no
the freaking send us
receipts.
the receipts, bro. Like, we've been tracking them.
But I've been a part of On3 for a better part of 2 years. This is why I like On3. I don't like the rankings necessarily for each and every player,
Right.
but they're not openly biased about players. On3 is very, like, whether or not you think they hate Michigan or not, the guy that runs On3 isn't even a fan of a specific team. He's just a recruiting guy. He values off of his opinions. They suck,
Mm-hmm. Right.
but he's not moving guys based off of where they commit. But people say, like, oh, On3 hates Notre Dame, right?
Right.
Because of the CJ Carr ranking. But On3 has 7 of Notre Dame's commitments ranked higher than the other sites.
Okay.
So that's where I think On3 is the most unbiased recruiting service.
Really?
But I think they just have dumb opinions. They just have dumb opinions. If that makes sense. Like,
Big Groove says, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
no, you're. I was just saying, like 247. It's very biased. Like, you can tell, just like how many articles do they come out with where it's like Ohio State has 10 top 100 recruits. I wonder why.
I mean, it could be true, right? Every year. Look, I'm not gonna get into the semantics of that, but here we go. Big Groove says, if Aaron Scott commits to Michigan over the home state suck guys, I will go to work in a tank top, boxer brief, and cowboy boots with a Bob Marley tucked between my ear. Groove, on the 31st, we want to see that picture.
Yes, we need that picture.
Right. Of you, video, you
And no
walking into
Photoshop
work.
stuff either.
Right. Yeah. And now I want Aaron Scott to commit more than ever to the Wolverines, because I need to see it. None of the recruiting platforms. He's been in the business for decades and used to work for one. Brian Smith, who's
No. Mello, I don't work for On3. I've just been a part of On3's like board, like their message board service. I don't work for On3.
Brian Smith. So he's a recruiter for Florida? or he's from Florida, out of Florida,
He's a recruiter
not
out of Florida.
connected to any of the recruiting platforms. I'm so confused. Who is he a recruiter for? Dude, they were top 100 before they committed. Stop crying.
And I've literally seen people that used to work for 247 and are also rivals. So where based off of their who like fans that buy their service, they cater their rankings more to those people. They've said that does happen. So
Yeah, I mean,
there's
and
a ton of
Tim
Ohio State
Leineke
fans.
just said the same here. 24/7's biased because OSU fans are way into recruiting. I'm guessing he meant way more into recruiting than Notre Dame and Michigan fans. You're going to cater to your support. I mean, that makes sense from a business model standpoint.
But it's not just Ohio State either. Like Mello, they do it with Bama recruits. They do it with Georgia recruits. They do it with USC kids too. Like if you're not, I don't even want to say name brand, but like you're not those types of schools, which is kind of weird to say because Notre Dame and Michigan are up there too. It's just a weird disconnect once you get past those four schools.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a kid who commits to Notre Dame. Well, just because he commits to Notre Dame or just because he commits to Michigan, he must not be that good.
This right here, I agree with, Mello.
They don't matter. But
this right here, I agree with because here's the thing. If one of those kids, and this I've tried to explain this to Dallas fan and to Ryan before. If let's say you believe that what's my guy
CJ Carr and Jaden Davis are better than
CJ Carr. You believe CJ Carr is a 5-star recruit, right?
Yep.
That seems to be the belief from most Notre Dame fans. He is a 5-star recruit. I'm not even going to say he's not good because he's very good. He could be a 5-star recruit. That being said, at least in high school, right? When he gets to whatever prospective school, and if he is that 5-star that you believe he is, then he should, ascend, right? Or be good. And if he is not, then maybe he isn't who you thought he was, right? And it doesn't matter what they say a kid is. Freaking Hassan Haskins was a lowly touted 3-star kid who ran for 5 touchdowns against the Buckeyes and then was drafted to the NFL, right? And I can keep running down the list of those guys. Aiden Hutchinson, lowly touted 3-star guy, 2nd overall pick in the NFL draft. And I'm not just going to use, it doesn't just have to be Michigan guys, just around the country. This is a theme, right? That it doesn't matter your star level, although that is just what that is it says, hey, this 5-star guy is likely to be a 1st-round draft pick at some point, right? This 4-star guy is likely to be a 2nd, 3rd, 4th round pick.
The reason I disagree with it is because I do think they matter. They don't matter in terms of like if a guy gets on campus and he's good, but they do matter in terms of when you're publicizing things. Like the narrative is that Notre Dame can't get 5-star recruits,
right?
And people make fun of Notre Dame for that. When Notre Dame gets kids that were once 5-star recruits, and they lose their ranking because they commit to Notre Dame. That's where I think it hurts because then these recruiting services can push this narrative that's false. But it also affects recruiting itself because we forget when CJ Carr was a 5-star and he committed to Notre Dame, guess who the guys were that were looking at going to Notre Dame? Ryan Wingo, Jeremiah McClellan.
Right.
A bunch of these other 5-star kids. What happened when CJ Carr lost his ranking? Ryan Wingo went away. Jeremiah McClellan went away.
Do you think they went away because he lost his 5-star?
No, I'm thinking, but I think it not just that, but I think it loses its shine. Like how many 4-star quarterbacks are there? A ton.
A bunch.
Right.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The way you combat that is just by taking these guys who are in your mind 5 stars and doing something with them. If you win with CJ Carr, right, then that attention will be far greater than the attention from him being a 5-star in high school or coming out of high school. So that is why I just think it's all crazy and it's just a bunch of whiny fans. Like the guy, if we win, then that cures everything, right? You go out there and you win a national title with these guys that all these recruiting services said was 3 or 4-star, then who cares? Because the attention is on you anyway, in a positive way, with all the 16 and 17-year-olds.
Yeah, I don't know. And like Melo's saying that Ohio State puts tons of guys in the NFL. Part of that, like the receivers at least, that's just because you guys get every single 5-star receiver. And those guys are good. But then you also put your quarterbacks in the NFL, and what Ohio State quarterback has been good in the NFL recently? And don't say Justin Fields, because you didn't recruit Justin Fields. Justin Fields was a Georgia commit.
I don't understand what's funny.
You are using the future for present recruiting. Winning big is obvious. I think he's saying
go win.
Go win. But
yeah.
Do you think CJ Carr winning a national championship is going to prove to those guys that he wasn't a 5-star, that he's a 5-star recruit? That's not going to matter.
Who cares at that point, right? What it's going to do is say to, freaking some kid in the middle of California.
Stetson Bennett won 2 national titles.
Right.
And he went undrafted.
Right.
Like he went.
Was he a 5-star recruit?
He was
absolutely not. He was a walk-on, right? So yeah, but they won. He won national championships.
But
look at Georgia's recruiting right now.
That narrative still follows him, even to the NFL. Like he's not that good.
No, you think the narrative from him being a walk-on matters to actual people who get paid to scout players?
He didn't get drafted, evidently,
because he's not good. At least NFL good. Like, let me, because these, I gotta put some parameters on this thing.
Championship winning quarterback.
No, that's great. He won 2 championships. But I mean, do you want him to start for the Broncos?
No.
Exactly.
I wouldn't mind him being on our practice squad.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as far as the Raiders go, he probably would be the starter for us right now.
Well, once Jimmy G gets hurt.
Right.
But no, man, like, I don't know. I think it's disrespectful because I think CJ Carr and Jaden Davis are both 5-star quarterbacks. I legitimately do.
Fields is going to be a beast. What are you? Stop it. Melo, you're losing me, bro. I want you to stop it right now. Fields has some skill. Don't get me wrong. Fields has some skill.
And a runner.
But you're wild.
He's a runner.
When you get 5-star guys, you put guys in the NFL. 5-star guys on average go to the NFL at the highest level. If all the 5-star talent went to Indiana, Indiana would be an amazing team.
Exactly.
There's no doubt about that. I'm not even arguing against that, which, by the way, gives more credence to these services, right? When a service says, "Oh, this guy isn't a 5-star, and this guy is a 5-star,"
one thing
you're proving the point. You're making the case for them.
What about those 25-star kids that went to Texas A&M last year and got that butt whooped by App State?
Well, I mean, did you expect 20 freshmen to make that big a difference? Honestly,
I mean, and then they all left.
I mean, right.
You know what's funny? I want to talk about this really quick. I was making fun of A&M fans on Twitter because I have them going 5-7 next year, the same record they had this year. Because I don't think you can you lose 30 players, some of whom were 5-star kids who started for you. But I don't think any football team in college football, like take Michigan. I don't think Michigan could afford to lose 30 scholarship players to the transfer portal.
Right.
And be a championship caliber team still. I think that takes a lot of depth. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be a good team,
Right.
but it strips you of your depth. And there, I said, you guys paid for players and you guys didn't win anything. You had all these 5-star. Their excuse was, well, these kids were freshmen. They made an excuse why they lost to App State. They said these guys are freshmen. They were young, going up against 4th and 5th year seniors from App State. I said, you realize those 4th and 5th year seniors at App State had no Division I offers than App State, right? Like, these kids were unranked. I think they said App State that last year had 2 kids that were 3-stars on their entire roster. That was it. Like that is not an excuse that you can use.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, look, the stars are fun to talk about in my pre-records. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's great to troll and things like that. But at the end of the day, I don't care about that. What I care about is Michigan developing whatever talent they have.
Didn't you get mad about Jaden Davis losing his 5th star?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I just made the point that it's fun to talk about and troll on the channel, right? And especially in my pre-records, right?
Yeah.
Like that is a fun thing to do, and it garners attention. I'm able to put up some shocking, headline or whatever to drive attention. But at the end of the day, if Michigan wins the national championship and Jaden Davis never sees the field, who you think I'm going to lose sleep? No. Jaden Davis could be the greatest prospect according to these services that has ever existed, right? But if he goes there and God forbid, let me knock on something happens unforeseen and he has an injury in the preseason or whatever, right? Or in summer camp, and somebody else takes over and wins the Natty, goodbye, Jaden Davis. And all respect due to the Davis family. I'm not trying to disrespect the kid, and I wish him nothing but health and wealth. And I hope he has success at Michigan. But if somebody else does it, that's what matters to me. The success at Michigan, not who has success at Michigan, but that Michigan is successful. That's it.
2 things before we get out of here, because we went over time. Seth says, what did Marshall have? Marshall had multiple former 5-star recruits that transferred in. The running back was a 5-star recruit.
Right.
The one that killed us, he was a 5-star kid that transferred out of Florida State because of playing time. That's what happened. But anyway, also, real fun quick, because Mello is very pro Ohio State recruiting. I'm going to mention a name that might hurt you a little bit, Mello. What happened to Tate Martell? If all these recruiting services are so good, wasn't he the best quarterback in the class that year when he went to Ohio State? He never played a single down of football. Yeah.
See?
Like, he couldn't even get on the field.
See? Tate Martell is dark-skinned Jermaine. If you know, you know. But anyway, thank you everyone who came and joined the live today. We will be back next week. Next week, Ryan, I want to do something. We're going to do 5 predictions. Each of us will do 5 predictions for the season. Don't give me easy ones either. Don't say like, oh, Georgia's going to run through that soft-ass schedule they have. But do something difficult. Come up with 5. We'll have some fun with the people in the comment section. 5 hot takes.
All right, we got 5. You know me, cool. I'm delusional.
Anyway, until next time, stay angry, my friends. I'm upset.